we start. Brennan, my name is Daniel.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Long time I didn't record interview, so I feel a little bit awkward, but that's okay. Okay, we do this freestyle. I met Brennan here at the Nomad Fest in Bansko, and surprisingly he was a speaker speaking just before us about the idea, and actually you are doing it, starting a digital country, and you're launching a product before. So tell us who you are, where you're from, what's your why and your personal background before we start about actually what you are doing and how you are approaching a digital country.
For sure. So my name is Brennan. Originally from Canada. Grew up in Canada. In the last 4.5 years, I've been what I'd say like kind of a digital nomad. On the move, traveled to I think like 50 plus countries, and then most recently now I have a home base. So that's like a 5-month out of the year sort of arrangement, and I spend the rest of the time on the move. I think for me and the why, and I talked about this a little bit earlier today, was I grew up in Canada, which I would say is a fantastic country, and it has a strong, I'll say like safety net, a strong culture. And when I left Canada, I left it because of opportunity. I wanted to go seek other opportunities, but what I felt when I left was that something was lacking. Those same, I think, protections that I was afforded in Canada, I didn't have when I went overseas. And so it creates this interesting problem, which I think others experience, where you love traveling and you always want to keep doing it and you can't stop doing it because there's so many good things that come from living overseas. But you always feel a little bit like there's something missing, or that you're not fully secure, and you're a little stressed out, and your mind's thinking about other things, and then you're torn as to what to do. Which is why I'm working on all the stuff here right now.
So tell us more. What are you basically launching on the 6th of July? Because this is what you announced today, that there will be a launch. What will be the name of the product, and what will be the core features, and what get nomads out of it?
Yeah, great question. So the product we're launching is Nomad Citizen. The core idea behind it, and we're taking a slightly different approach on this, is the long-term goal is to eventually build a country on the internet. And the logic, again, there being is we have more opportunity than we've ever had in the world. People can do more things than ever. People can travel the world, but the infrastructure that we have in place is usually limited to countries. So anytime you want to move countries, or you want to go live in a new country, there's all this bureaucracy to doing it. There's all these questions that have to be asked and answered. And so that's what we want to solve in the long term, is to be able to create a country on the internet where if you are a global citizen, if you are someone that wants to live in multiple places, you're able to do so. Now our logic here is that that's a big multi-decade goal to eventually get there. And I think different people have tried to approach the problem in different ways. Some have started with a physical space, like Crossfera, for example, right? Other places have tried to go community first. Our logic here is if we can start product first and offer something that's fundamentally very useful to people, and you're able to bring enough people together, there's a shared commonality in adopting that same thing, so in our case a product. You're able to start bringing people together, and then eventually you're able to form that, once you have scale, into some sort of country on the internet. And so what we're starting with is a product, as we're calling it the safety net, Nomad Citizen. The main thing of it's the safety net. It's an uber premium health product. It's in there. It's income protections for things like if you lost your job, for example. It has some savings parts to it, a little bit of retirement in there long term. It's a travel part as well, so that means being able to get visas really easily, nomad visas really easily. We do all the work on our end. Our eventual goal there is to create a passport, but again, starting somewhere. And it also has a community element as well. Specifically, I think around being able to get access to things like contacts when you move to a new country, of like lawyers, let's say, if you're setting up your business. So the core thing right out of the gate is you get a super premium medical product, you get access to a big, large group of people around the world, and then you get some really cool other protections that you might get as, I don't know, like if you're German, you mentioned, or if you're from a European country, let's say, some of the protections you get there as well.
I think this is highly interesting because we are discussing this topic now in our think tank or whatever since a few years. And it's always the question, which service are you offering? You know, why should people join them? And besides, of course, health insurance and income insurance, or how you call it, I think there's also like the human aspect. So an insurance could also be that you can rely on a community, that you can rely on your tribe. In case you get into trouble, or you just struggle temporarily in life, or you just need an advice or whatever, or and I think this is super strong, because this is also something which is like not existing yet. You know, what you get out of a village when you move into a village, you can rely on those people. I think if we can scale this and make this location independent, this is super, super strong.
Totally.
And what is the price for this?
$400 a month.
$400 a month.
Yep.
Okay. And how do you see this vision turning into reality to receive recognition from United Nations? Because what you did today, and I like this PR stunt, so to say, that you issued a newspaper and announcing what will happen in 2035, let's say, or whatever. And we always also had this discussion. We started with the networkstate.io, Varam. Hello, Varam. He was behind the Armenian network state, and he also thought, how can we receive recognition from the United Nations? If you could just dream, how would this turn out in the best case? If we put our minds now to the year 2035, and you could just dream, and if this is your baby, how do you want to see this baby developing and growing up? Because we always, when we started in 2021, you know, going public with this idea about network states or digital nations or whatever, we always wanted to create an entity which is as powerful like the USA without the negative sides of the USA. Do you think this is realistic, and what is your dream?
I do, yeah. So I guess like at its core, like what is a country? As of right now, it's usually a section of land with people that have some sort of shared similar culture, history, whatever. I think in our case, like if I was to dream of what like an ideal might look like, I see that maybe there might be what we'll call like embassies sort of thing. And embassies are common spaces because I don't know if it's necessarily realistic to have, well, I don't think we want to have just a single place in one location because so many of the people, like what I love about this lifestyle I live is that I can go to multiple places. But I could see embassies all across the world, call it 100 of them. You have a passport as a nomad citizen. Maybe there's an ID card that comes along with that as well. There's recognition among other countries that if I show up to that border with that ID card or their passport, that I have like rights to be able to get into that place for some period of time. It means I can access things like embassies, the communities, shared spaces, like common areas where I can be with other people. And I think it also means that a lot of the things that I love about, let's say, the country that I'm from, Canada, like again, the healthcare, or some of the income protections, right? That safety net that I get to enjoy, we all are also able to do, but we're able to do way better. And I alluded to this a little earlier today, like health is an important part of any country's social safety system. Canada, the EU, you name it. The issue is, I think it's really badly done in most places. And so I think we also have an opportunity to take a lot of things that did exist and are fundamentally good things, like health, but to do them way better, because now all of a sudden you have freedom, you have flexibility, you have all these different jurisdictions and doctors around the world. You're able to put tech on top of it. So if I was to kind of just imagine a little bit, I think that's maybe what it would look like in terms of getting there. And I'll just speak a little bit on that. So I think I have a few pieces of logic. Number one is that work is actively happening to do that. So like Lauren recently spoke at Plumia. We hosted this Morocco conference, which was really interesting about gathering these politicians together, researchers, etc., to start a conversation. Where I think we win, though, or we will win, I think as a movement, by the way. I don't think it's like SafetyWings wins. I think we all win by this happening. But it's through scale and getting enough people. Because the one thing we've learned, like we're talking with the Malaysian government, we're talking with the Argentinian, all these different governments, is when you have, let's say, 100,000 people on your product that are paying $400 a month, all of a sudden that's a very interesting conversation for them to have. Versus when you have no people, or hey, like there's a wait list of people, then there's not as much interest. And so I think the logic is by scaling a product which is fundamentally useful to people, getting those people, creating a culture between those people, and now you go to governments and you've been having conversations for a year or two, and it's like, oh, by the way, we can guarantee you 50 or 60,000 people coming to your country. Then I think that starts to change. And then once you get enough countries, then the UN is an obvious next step.
Okay, I think this makes a lot of sense what you were actually saying. I mean, I just introduced the gentleman to the Malta Residence Agency, and we already pitched the same idea to them. Clearly, if you see it like that, every nomad coming to a territory is a big contribution to the GDP.
Totally.
So the residence agency, they issued numbers. I don't remember the correct numbers, but I think it was over 50 million euros contribution to the GDP, just with 500 people relocating. That's a lot.
Wow.
And when you can deliver on that, you know, of course they will listen to you, because you can fundamentally also, you know, bring the right people. Do they need a certain talent? Do they need certain values? You know, and I think it's also fine for countries to pick who they accept, so that it's kind of a balance. You know, you cannot bring 10,000 Americans or Canadians to Malta. This would be weird.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Oh, totally.
It would be weird
100%.
suddenly, but probably we could pull that off. You know. So anyway, it makes a lot of sense what you were saying. But now I'm a German open source software developer. I need to ask some critical questions, because this is what we are always discussing: closed source, open source. What I'm saying as a German is a little bit extreme, but I believe the only way forward is absolute open source. And that's just an ideal I'm sharing now with you. The citizens' data cannot be owned by any centralized entity. So it could not be owned by a Swiss company, for example, because it's just a matter of time until this company will go bankrupt. Maybe in 300 years. You know, it's a Swiss company, maybe in 300 years, we hope. And so what I wish to see is, first of all, a protocol which is universal for network nations, internet nations, whatsoever, so that no one can eventually own that. Citizens decide to subscribe to you because you are delivering a better service than others. And if this is also something you agree, then we are on one page. And I really like that. So I think, so how do you see this developing? Because on one hand, it's a commercial product, how you start. But ultimately, it needs to be something like a Bitcoin standard. And this is a long way. It can take a long time to develop this. Do you have any thoughts on it? I mean, I don't know if you have a technical background. So how would you imagine this? Because in the end, it could also be framed as crypto 2.0. You know? And I think those topics, they also correlate.
Yeah, so I think a couple thoughts here. So on the actual, like, before, not even talking about the tech side for a second, but just the product side, like the way that we framed it up at this point, I intend on keeping it this way, is yes, SafetyWing is offering a product part of it, like what I'll call the insurance part of it. Nomad or Plumia, which is a non-profit, is the one that's trying to push some of the policy work forward with countries, right? The way I always envision this happening, and let's just take like 2035 and you have a country on the internet, is yes, the people own that country on the internet, right? Like this is where I think crypto is a perfect use case of like, you can do voting, you can do leadership and ownership, right? Like everyone can have their own stake in that. If you were to vote, everyone can have a vote in that, right? You don't need some central organizing entity to do that, right? I also see companies now being able to provide services to that group. So like, for example, SafetyWing, like we will provide the safety net to that, much like how maybe you start something eventually, right? That is like a beneficial thing for those citizens. It's offered to those citizens, they can use it. And then with the Plumia side of things, like I don't see Plumia ever owning this thing. The only point of Plumia, at least I think right now, is to push that work along in a somewhat centralizing way.
It makes sense. Because we are living not yet in that new reality. So we cannot act within this reality. So that you are utilizing capitalism, and this is totally fine. It's just like going to a co-living. You know, you pay in fiat because you consume a service. We're not hippies. We want to be. We want to be. Hippies 2.0. So this is super smart, you know, that you basically use this in order to fund basically this dream which is bigger than life. And I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And how can people join your initiative if they want to get involved? There's a wait list, or?
So there's two parts. Whether you want to be actually on the product or not, or whether you just want to be involved, there's two methods. Regardless, I'd say, is sign up on the wait list on Nomad Citizen. So it's on SafetyWing.com, and then it's It's under the products tab. You can join the waitlist.
Okay.
There's two things that will come out of that. Number one is there is a group that we're creating, more as like a discussion group, almost on Telegram. So that's great if you want to be involved and kind of keep up to date on what's going on without actually being on the product. And if it is interesting, then still get on the wait list. We do an interview because we want to keep the pool of people that are on the product really high quality. That's critical to everything succeeding. And then you can be part of the product as well. So there's a couple methods regardless of.
Okay, so you filter people who can be the first citizens, so to say.
Yep.
But everyone can join your discussion group.
Exactly.
Good.
Yep.
And how can they join the Telegram channel?
Yeah, so sign up on the waitlist, and then through there, what we do is we reach out to everyone. So we send you an email basically, and then you'll get all the information that you need through there.
I have to say thank you. For me, I'm absolutely positively surprised because I always looked at Plumia and I was like, oh, that's too commercial. That's not gonna save humanity. And because I really believe what we're doing is so crucial.
Totally.
And people might watch this video and they're like, people who are not in our movement, this is so futuristic. What are they talking about? I know 100% that this will work out.
Yeah.
And in 10 years we will look back and would have hoped that there would be someone making a documentary while we are doing it. Yeah. And we should really do this because we think you are just a product owner, But I really believe if we look back in 10 years, we will think this was a really special time.
I 100% agree.